Hi, my name is Lisa Feld, and I'm the web content editor for the Jewish Women's Archive. In February of 2013, Batwoman proposed to her girlfriend, Maggie Sawyer. To understand why this is so important, we need to go back about 60 years. In 1954, Dr. Frederick Wertham, who was a child psychologist, published a book called Seduction of the Innocent, in which he claimed that comics were responsible for everything from color blindness to juvenile delinquency to homosexuality. What followed were McCarthy-era trials that ravaged the comic industry and created a comics code that every comic published had to adhere to, and which was so strict that you couldn't say the word hell even when you were talking about the place. You had to say H-E double hockey sticks. So in this new strict era, Batwoman was introduced as a love interest to make it clear that Batman and Robin were not a couple. She really didn't have much of a personality beyond that, and the character kind of fizzled out, and 10 years later was kind of dropped from the DC universe. Fast forward to 2006, and DC rebooted their entire universe and brought Batwoman back. And they kept her as a wealthy socialite, but they made her a Jewish lesbian with a military background. And this is incredible because she went from being a foil, a love interest, to being a fully realized character in her own right, and a very controversial one at that. One that was rich and complex and flawed. However, shortly after Batwoman proposed, DC announced that the couple would not be allowed to marry. They claimed DC characters do not get happy endings. The comics creators quit in protest over this, and the fans complained to no avail. And the comic was canceled a year later because the fans and the creators were so disappointed that DC had gotten all this way but didn't trust the characters enough to take this next step. It's still a huge landmark for comics, for censorship, and for intersectionality.